there, welcome back to a new Photoshop tutorial with PSDBox. My name is Andrei and today I will show you how to create this surreal portrait in Photoshop using only two stock images. It's not a difficult tutorial, we're just going to make some simple masking and you'll find the resources that you need for this tutorial on the video description if you're watching this from YouTube, and those links will take you to the website where you can download this and create this tutorial. I hope you will like it. You can create this in any Photoshop version. I'm using Photoshop CC 2015.5, but you can use any Photoshop version because, as I said, we're just going to use some simple masking and some adjustment layers. I hope you will like it, and let's jump right into it. For this tutorial, I used an image that I already used on another tutorial, and I thought it would work just fine for this tutorial. It's a simple self-portrait that I shot against the wall and with a flash bounced on the ceiling, and that's it. So I'm going to use this image. You're going to find this on the website, as I said, and also you'll find it on the full resolution. But for this tutorial, I'm going to make it a bit smaller. I'm going to paste it here, and I'm gonna make it to 4000 pixels because I'm also recording the video on 1080p format, so in order to not slow my computer down. So this is the image that we're gonna work with. The second image is an image of an egg that I have right over here. I have several images and I have the XMP for the one that I think I used. I don't remember which one it was, but I think it was this one. And one of these two images it was. Let's use this one. So let's open this with Photoshop CC. As you can see, I already have the edits here because I already edited before, and that XMP file, remembers, well, it takes that file, this one over here, and this is the edits that I made to this. You'll find this in a JPEG format, so you can use it. And I'm gonna open this. And we're gonna copy the egg. We just need the top part of it, but we're gonna copy it anyway. Not copy, Control C, and let's not save that, and paste this over here. Now it's a bit too big, so we're gonna have to make it smaller. But before I do that, I want to turn this into a smart object. Now, because these two backgrounds are white, it's gonna make it very easy to mask. Let me drop the opacity a bit and make the egg a bit smaller. I wanna make it as wide as my head, and as I said, we're just going to use the top part over here, so make it about that big. We're going to change the size if needed. That's why I turned this into a smart object. And in order to mask this, I think I used the magic wand tool. You can see it's a bit out of focus here, but I made this on purpose. This will make it a bit more realistic. The image here is more in focus, my portrait here, but it doesn't matter. So I'm gonna create the layer mask, and I have to invert it with Control-Command-I. And now let me just move it a bit out of the way. Well, actually, I'm gonna leave it there. And now I'm gonna use the refine edge. I'm going to right click on the layer mask. You'll find this in all Photoshop versions, but in Photoshop CC 2015.5 they changed the name, and now it's called select and mask instead of refine edge or refine mask, but the menu is the same. So here we're going to make sure that we have the view set to on layers because we want to see all the layers instead of seeing the layer mask. And here we're gonna probably shift the edge a bit, and very important, increase the feather and see how the edges are getting smoother here. And now in order to recover that, we're gonna increase the contrast. It doesn't matter if we have this soft edge and some white there because the background is also white, so we're not going to see that. I'm gonna set the output to layer mask, and I'm gonna click OK. As you can see, very simple masking. The next thing we want to do is make sure using this same layer mask, I'm gonna select this part of the egg and Alt backspace with black to fill that because we don't need the bottom part. Anyways, we're gonna delete all of this actually. But before we do that, we have to hide part of the head, because we have to simulate that there's nothing behind this here. So what we're going to do is hide the egg layer. Let's rename this to egg and this to portrait. I'm going to create a new layer on top of the portrait layer, and here you have several options. You can try them. For example, let's select this part like this, right over there. Being bald in this kind of situations comes handy, as you can see. Let's set the feather to 0 and remake the selection over here. And I'm going to try and fill this with content aware fill, but I don't think it's gonna work. Yeah, I have to create a copy of the image first. And edit fill. I don't think it's gonna work, but we'll see. Yeah, as I said, it's not going to work. Let's do something else. Let's use the clone stamp tool and increase the size, reduce feather, and check sample all layers. And just be careful when you clone this. Just start from here, alt click to sample, go down, click there, and just paint over. And I think with this amount we're good to go. As you can see, I still see some of the transitions, so I have to make the hardness a bit higher, because I picked part of the top edge there. So I'm gonna do it again. Click there, go down, and just paint again. Okay, and I think now it's a bit better. I can do it again, just another pass over there, and that's it. And the next thing is I'm gonna show the egg again. And now on this new layer, which I'm gonna name cover, I will create a layer mask for it, because you can see I erased too much. So I'm going to hide part of it like that. And if I need to, I'm gonna hide more, but for now I'm gonna leave it like that. And now let's take care of the egg. I'm going to select its layer mask, and now with the brush, it's just a matter of being patient and first mask the big chunk of this like that. And now we have to move it down, just make sure it fits there. I have to make it a bit bigger, so I'm gonna increase its size just a bit like that. Just make sure it fits there. And probably I'm gonna have to move it even lower, but for now what we have to do is just mask like this, move it lower like that, and probably here. And now just mask with this brush tool. I'm gonna decrease the hardness a bit and get my pen here and just start masking this. As you can see, some of the white from here is from this layer, from the cover layer. So what I'm gonna do is select the layer mask again and make sure I fill this back with white. Like that. Actually, all this area should be filled with white, even though you don't see it. It's there. And now go back to the egg layer mask, and with a small brush just paint. Make sure you keep that white line over there, we need that. And on the cover I have to fill this back with white, so it's just a matter of switching between the two layer masks. And be careful and just do something like this. The hardness that I have on the layer, on the brush, it's about 65%, and the size, as you can see, 8 pixels. And just make sure you paint over these areas. Let's make sure I don't have the pen pressure on. The transfer is on, which is okay. And it's just, as I said, a matter of being patient and masking this like that. You can use selection methods if you want. You can use the color range if you want to select all these parts from here, but I like to do it manually. And I'm gonna fast forward the video because it's going to take a while. So I'm gonna select the cover layer again and just make sure I fill the layer mask here with white like that. Let me actually drop the opacity of the layer and see, and that way I'm gonna see it better. I'm gonna fill this back with white to the areas that I need. And we're good to go. So as I said, now I'm going to set the opacity back to 100%, and I'm gonna just fast forward while I mask here. As I said, remember to keep this white edge from the egg because that's gonna make it look more realistic. So see you when I'm done. Okay, now we're done with the masking. Now the problem that I see is right here, this right side. So I'm gonna make this a bit smaller, maybe like that, and or probably, let's see, maybe moving this down a bit, maybe it looks better. Nope, not much. I just had to make this a bit bigger, and that's it. Put it right over there. And now go on the cover layer mask, and with the brush hide this part over here, painting with white like that, and this part as well. And this part as well. And here I'm gonna paint with black. Great, now it looks a lot better. Take a look. Okay, so we have the effect of the like the broken head, and that's all it is to it. Now the next thing that I want to do is just make some effects. First I want to add more light on this face. So I'm gonna use a curves adjustment, or yeah, curves adjustment layer, and I'm gonna invert the layer mask. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to create a more light here, like so. If I deactivate the layer mask, you will see the effect that I want to create, like that. But now, because the layer mask is black, none of the effect is visible. So now I'm gonna get the brush tool, sorry. And on this layer mask, which is black, I'm gonna paint with white with an opacity of 20 and flow as well, and just paint on the face like that, on that part of the face. See that? But with the soft brush, I'm gonna do it again with the big soft brush, painting with white like that, and probably also this part of the image, a couple of passes, and this bottom part over there, because as you can see is a bit darker. There was a window down there on the left side, so that's why this part was a bit darker. And now if you want to create a vignette effect, you can do the same using curves. So you can create another curves adjustment, drag this curve like that down, or maybe levels, it's better. Let's add a levels adjustment and drag this down and drop the midtones a bit, like so. And now invert the layer mask, and here I'm going to create a rectangle, a circle like this, and I'm gonna fill this with white, and actually I had to invert this, fill it with black, and leave the layer mask white and fill this with black. And now I'm gonna feather this, and in Photoshop CC, if you double click on the layer mask, you can increase the feather, and also in Photoshop CS6 I think you can do this, just increase this like that, and you can create the vignette effect. If you cannot do this, simply apply Gaussian blur on the layer mask and that's it. But it's a bit too small, so I'm gonna widen it and make it a bit bigger, like that. Okay, this is my vignette effect. And now I'm going to, I want to use the camera raw filter, but if you don't have it, you can use a photo filter, for example, and add that yellow tone. Maybe use color blend mode, or let's see, the hue, or even better, we can use a gradient map and use one of the photographic toning. Let's see, for example, the sepia one looks nice, or maybe selenium. Sepia 2, I like how it looks. Set the blend mode to hue. No, I don't like it. Maybe to color, and drop the opacity a lot to about 34%. And then what else? Maybe we can add a exposure and increase the offset just a bit to 0.0182, and probably in brightness contrast, and increase the contrast of the image, and also a bit the brightness, and that's it. What I would usually do is, instead of using these adjustments, well, actually we could probably use a color lookup. If you don't have color lookup, if you're using an older version of Photoshop, it doesn't matter. But here on the color lookup, you can use many of the adjustments that you have here. These are made by myself. You'll find this on the video description as well with these presets. Studio Drama looks really dramatic, so probably it's not going to work. But what I would usually do, as I said, is use camera raw. So I'm gonna Shift Alt Command E, create a new layer first. Shift Alt Command E. This will stamp all the layers onto a new one, and I would go to filter and choose camera raw filter. You don't have this in previous versions of Photoshop, and there's a trick which allows you to do this, and that consists on going here on the Photoshop preferences. Let me show you that. If you go to Photoshop preferences, camera raw, just change this JPEG to automatically open all supported JPEGs, and what that does is whenever you open a JPEG file in Photoshop, it will first open it in camera raw. And so what you have to do is save this image in JPEG and then open it back after you change that setting, and it will open it here in camera raw, and you can use it as a filter. So what I would do is probably increase the temperature, lower the vibrance, increase the clarity. I want to have something a bit more unsaturated. The shadows, probably gonna increase that a bit. Drop the highlights slightly. And the contrast, I'm gonna leave it there. And go to the sharpening, increase the amount of sharpening, the detail. Usually you should watch this at 100% when you increase sharpening and stuff like that. Increase noise reduction a bit, detail is too high. And now what I like to do is here on the effects, add the vignetting effect. I already did that with the curves, but you can do this here as well. Roundness, I'm gonna leave it like that. Feather, okay. And now what I like to do here is use the grain. I'm gonna increase the amount. I'm gonna zoom in so I can see it better. This will add texture on the background. It looks like noise, but it's better because you can increase the roughness as well and see how it looks like. And probably the size a bit as well. And the colors here, probably use some split tone. Let's see how that looks like. On the highlights, I'm gonna use this yellowish tone. Yeah, that looks nice. And for the shadows, something colder. And here on the white balance, probably change this a bit as well. And we're done. Let's click OK. And this gives our image a better look. This was before camera raw and after camera raw. I think it looks more artistic. And that's how I created this surreal portrait. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, just post a comment on the website and I'll reply if I can. That's all for today. Hope you liked it. If you create something cool, if you post it on Instagram, use the hashtag PSDBox, or also in Facebook, you can use hashtags. So you can use the hashtag PSDBox, so we can see what you did and maybe feature your artwork on our Instagram. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next tutorial.